Welcome to Rooted Agritourism. I'm Dr. Liz Fiedler Mergen, owner of Sunny Mary Meadow, a you-pick flower farm, wedding florist, and event venue in central Minnesota. Our mission is to serve anyone rooted in agritourism, value-added agriculture, and rural entrepreneurship. The people turning ideas and raw products into thriving businesses and experiences. Let's dig in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Rooted Agritourism podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Liz Fiedler Mergen. And today we're just going to do a bit of a reflection episode of 2025. Next week, I want to announce a lot of the big goals that we have set this year, how it's important for me to have measurable goals, SMART goals, etc. But if you're listening to this, you're someone who's probably driven, has big goals. And I'm going to talk about something that I've noticed on social media the last week and continuing in today. And it's probably going to come across as a little harsh. And I hope that no one takes it out of context, because I do mean it when I say, yes, give yourself grace. Yes, your mental health. Yes, your hustle. Yes, all of those things. But I've also seen a little bit of shaming for people that are goal driven and people that are highly productive. And I don't like how it feels. And I did this episode maybe 6 months to a year ago where I talked about how people just tell me that my life exhausts them and how I just have so much going on and I don't know how you do it and da, 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 da. You need to slow down and you're doing too much. And the posts that I'm talking about are saying, you know, a reminder when people are doing their year in review, if this year didn't go as planned, it's okay if all you did was get through it. And I do agree, of course, there are definitely years, 2020 when Josh died, many parts of this year. I'm ending the year with my barren womb again, with no pregnancy, infertility. We had our miracle child that we got pregnant with, and then we lost it at 12 weeks. And just, that sucks. My family doesn't feel complete. I'm pretty sad about it. And, you know, there were a lot of things that I didn't achieve and goals that I had to pivot on. And that's absolutely okay. But if year after year, you're saying, you know, you didn't do anything big this year and all you did was survive, at some point, you got to kind of pause and say, okay, well, what do I want to be different? Because time is going to pass anyway. And I shared a little bit on my Instagram stories today about how 2026 is going to look like a huge year for me. I'm really proud of that because we've worked really hard. I mean, the guests that we have lined up for this podcast, we started leveling up the podcast, Rooted Agritourism, and then honestly, we just had to take a little bit of a pause with how my business was opening and the time that that took. And now it's really going to take off. I am so excited for what's going to happen. The Farmers to Florist app is launching. My book is getting published in March. It's already written. It's done. I have a team that's marketing it and publishing it. Everything's in motion. I get to just enjoy that work. The Bloom Room is getting rented out. My weddings are booked. Everything it's just happening. We're able to just use it. We have this farm store. We have all these things in place. And I've spent 5+ years building it quietly. I didn't just suddenly build this business and hope people show up. I have an email list of 3,000 people with an open rate of 70%. And that's curating it. And yeah, I only have about 8,000 followers on social media, but a couple thousand watch my stories every day. And that's because I show up every day in it. And so there's that saying, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. And that really is it, April. I had no idea how much permitting and time and just hurry up and wait it comes to when doing something like this. We didn't open until October, and that was after flower season. My bank account looks terrible right now because it was not a fun year. We didn't do a lot of U-picks. We didn't have people at the farm. I didn't even really want to have extra market bouquets for sale and pick up here because I didn't have the capacity to train customers for our temporary setup and where you pick things up. So really, we just served our existing audience, fulfilled our existing weddings, did our subscriptions, and just did what we could and did a lot of planning for next year. And now, you know, we built another high tunnel, all of those things. And now in 2026, we have the space and the infrastructure to actually meet all those needs. And so my revenue predictions, for example, I mean, I better triple my revenue from 2025 to 2026, which is crazy, but it didn't happen overnight. And it's not like I'm not going to be able to reflect back on 2026 and say, oh my God, that was the year everything took off. It just happened. No, the truth is, it was years of quiet work, of barely, just really unrewarding work, if I'm being honest, and just grinding and behind the scenes, not hustle. I really was careful about not overdoing it. And I knew that sustainability in terms of burnout, I was really careful to just, make sure that we had enough help and make sure that if it requires me working late evenings and on the weekends constantly, that's not going to work either. And so I do think that it's just a reminder that the slow and steady, the everyday habits that you do, that's what really is going to help you reach your goals. It's not one big thing. It's that quiet, every time I subscribe someone new to the newsletter, it's every time that every single follower, every single thing, posting every day on social media, training people to go to my email list, training the customers, having that word of mouth, asking for referrals, having, that fertilizer framework that I always talk about, the customer journey, what's the next step? That's exactly what's happening right now. So 2025 was such a foundation year, but it was heavy. It was unglamorous, but it was so necessary. And it tried me primarily as a business owner, the responsibility of not being able to give myself grace and pause, because this is no longer a hobby side hustle. This is a real business with real risks now. And the decision making without clear answers, and there was no good answer, balancing that growth with sustainability of the business, and having to fight for my rights as a business owner and as a landowner, and understanding that it's no secret. I have some neighbors that are really mad about my business, and they live a half a mile to a mile away. I can honestly say I do not believe that my farm store and small event space is going to affect them whatsoever. I don't think anything's changed. They don't believe that businesses like this should exist in the country. They think that if you want to have a business like this, you should do it in town. These are all documented things people have said. And ultimately, I got really bullied I had a county official call me and say, hey, let's just sit down, a select few of us, and, rediscuss the conditions that you're allowed. I'm like, no, that's not the way this works. And it was just really hard to stand up for what I believe is right, what I believe for my community. Try to do it with grace when people are being not kind to me, when they're driving by and honking the horns and screaming and calling me a liar and screaming F-bombs at committee meetings and being told over and over again, just kill them with kindness and just calm down. It'll work out. Just your silence speaks, when eventually you have to speak up and say, no, that's okay. This is not just business. I am not going to grow calluses and let people treat me this way. Enough is enough. I'm going to do what I'm doing. I'm going to do it respectfully, but also I'm not going to keep taking this criticism at the same time. It was a really hard year as a business owner, and there'll be much more about that coming out. I'm ready to start talking about it, but it's conversations that I realize need to happen because things are changing. I really hope that my farm in 30 years is still a farm and a functioning business and not a housing development. I'm really leery about what everything else is going to look like. And you have to, I can't control what is built across the road from me, but I can control my own property. And so it's a hard thing to do. Sunny Mary Meadow in 2023, we did 2 weddings. 2024, I think we had, somewhere between 9 and 11 weddings, and they were all pretty small. And then 2025, this year, we had 31 weddings. And that was a mark of trust and not just volume, and being really intentional about the weddings that we said yes to, and watching how couples engaged with the farm beyond their wedding day, and just seeing how that went. And right now it is January 1st, and we have 24 weddings already booked for this year. Last year at this time, we had 9. And I am so excited. We have built everything to help reflect that, help us allow to grow more flowers, bigger coolers, more staff, convenience of picking up, and then that continuous customer journey where every offering fertilizes the next, and they can host their showers here, and they can come back year after year and get their bouquets and pick the flowers. And it's really exciting to see it in practice. And I know that readiness matters more than desire. It just took a long time for the building to get ready. The other thing that is really exciting for this year. I entered 2025 thinking that my book was going to stay in draft mode forever. It was about 200 pages of random little stories, and I was trying to turn it into a self-help book, and it didn't feel right. And I went to a podcasting conference, and I met the founder of a publishing company, and he was like, the reason most people don't finish their book is because they're writing the wrong book. And I realized immediately what that meant to me, and that's because this book needs to be the story of how we got here and why it happened through grief and how the decisions led to Sunny Mary Meadow and the backstory of it. Because in 5 years, I want to be talking about flowers and building a business and agritourism. And I don't want to be talking about grief and widowhood. I mean, it's part of my story. It's huge. It resonates with people. It is a huge piece of it, but it's not the whole story. And so that book comes out in March, and I'm so excited. This podcast here, the pivoting from Flower Farmer Forum to this, we're still having Flower Farmer Forum Conference. It's just the podcast is renamed, and it's just a pull toward broader agritourism and agriculture conversations, and just this desire to tell stories that often go unseen and feeling grounded rather than reactive. And I'm just... 2025 was a year that it shaped, it clarified. I'm very proud, but I'm not going to gloss over the difficulty. It was a really rough year. Reflection creates better momentum. And so reflecting on this last year, what things we want to change. And next episode is going to be all about goal setting for the year, how we do it, how I categorize it, how I measure throughout the year. I'm going to try to use it with fake numbers, but also it's really hard to not just give my real numbers. So whatever, it's fine. But just how I set my goals for the year and how I measure them throughout month to month and make sure that things are good to go. But thank you so much for being here, and bloom and grow. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Rooted Agritourism. If you enjoyed it, please leave a 5-star review and share it with someone who would find it helpful or inspiring. Your support helps us reach more rural entrepreneurs, dreamers, and doers just like you. You can explore all of our resources at sunnymarymeadowcoaching.com, where you'll find each episode in blog form along with free resources to help grow your business. You'll also find info on upcoming on-farm and virtual workshops, classes, and courses. Be sure to check out our monthly membership, Foundations of Peddling Perishable Products, where you'll get access to a full library of our original course content, plus ongoing support through monthly virtual meetups with others in the industry. Just click the link in the show notes or our bio to learn more. We'd love to have you join us. Until next time, keep growing with purpose and stay rooted.